So first things first is we have the VT1, which stands for V-meme tier 1. So this is saying that the V-meme of beige keeps repeating in different ways every 4 stages, specifically in regard to instinct. Then purple, you have MG, which is animistic, and this is dual. This is conventionally dual. Then you have red, which is mythic, which we understand is dual. And many people consider blue or amber as mythic as well. And so mythic goes under the category as dual. Now in VT2, still tier 1 for the standard model, is orange, which I consider NT, instinctive. Okay, there's a glossary here if you want to take a look. Non-thought. And then G, you have D versus N or NT. DN stands for dual or non-dual, meaning you have greens that are dual in the sense that they're materialistic, they adopt the V-meme of orange, and you have greens that don't do that and they're non-dual. So D or N, it could be either one. But this was a tricky one. I also considered it NT simply because orange is partly instinctive. And if you're adopting the V-meme, it's pretty much similar to what they are, instinctive. So even though they're not orange per se, they adopt categorization of it or equality of it. And why I considered as NT, this is yellow. This was tricky because they start to open their mind in terms of what is possible. And many people have noticed that they also they understand the universe more and they enter into holism, right? And whether or not holism starts at Y1, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think it just percolates. It's not so strong. Holism begins at Y2 and it goes all the way to TQ where holonic features develop. Now the Y of the NT1 is because they're still materialistic in how they think. They still like the orange format, so therefore I consider it NT. They're non-thinking and therefore instinctive. Also in previous models that I've mentioned, the Y connects with esteem, which is connected to red, and that also tier 1 in general, or VT1, is much more instinctive and, base instinct looking. So there's a parallel there, and therefore that's why the NT would apply. Now the Y2 is mythic because during my mystical experience in Y2, there were formations of embodiments, entities, right? So some people think that's going to be in teal. So I'm sure you can have that experience in teal. I had it once, so some people may have that way of viewing reality or accessing their parts of their brain in that way. But my experience was it was in Y2 that I experienced this. And so that would go under mythic. And the question is this mythic a form of dual or non-dual? And that is why it's kind of a question mark. It's kind of a question mark. Is it mythic non-dual or is it mythic dual? And so that needs to be explored, but my conclusion is it's entering into non-dual holonic. One way of looking at this is you're getting rid of the past paradigms. You throw out the old and bring in the new. Another way to look at it is that non-dual never goes away. The non-duality is not there is no such thing as non-duality. This is like a novelty. And this is why I wrote this in the corner over here, is that you don't have to be non-dual in any stage. Certain stages are more non-dual than others. Also, non-dual changes over time. The people of blue thought they were one with God or non-dual. The purple thought they were one with nature or the spirits of nature or the lands, which is pretty much a form of non-dual. Non-dual itself evolved over time, such that non-dual sometimes becomes dual for later perspectives. And so that is an important thing to keep in mind, that what we consider non-dual or dual may change, such that we look back and say, oh, that was dual or that was non-dual. So same thing here. The mythic relates to that. And I'm even publishing a video that is going to correlate to what some people think is red or R because it's mythic. It's about visions of entities and how they form. And so people less or more materialistic might think that I'm in stage red. But no, that's, or accessing the way stage red thinks. But I don't think that's the truth. I think once you get into clear, it changes the whole ballgame. It's about how the ego works, fundamentally. Okay, and I'll probably put that in the recommended videos when I publish. Next, you have TQ, which is non-dual holonic. So I consider this non-dual. And the holism is pretty much explains how you can have mythic stuff, meaning some truths from the past are extra true, some truths are extra applicable, and so we understand in TQ, if you allow yourself to, that no one is incorrect and everyone's piece of the picture is correct from its own standpoint. Some say this is Y2. I think it starts in Y2 and it reaches its peak or climax in TQ. Now VT3. So you got CL, which is coral. Oh, CL. The L is referring to, it's an I. I is referring to indigo. Okay, in the spirodynamics integral. And so you have NT again. So when you're in coral, your actions will be guided by this V meme of what can I do to make myself happy? What can I do? You know, it's no thought. I mean, you might be making plans still, but the thoughts are more of the immediate future and not the long-term well-being of a culture or a society or a group. Okay? And that will be more likely in the next stage. So stage teal or violet in integral is, I consider this infinite wisdom stage, where you realize there's just infinite patterns, there's infinite information, there's infinite beauty and content in the universe to kind of grasp. What does this mean? What does this teach you? Why is this like this? And Ken Wilber, based on what his students paraphrased in a recent video I made, has to do with the causal, or this is where the causal arena begins. You understand why things happen the way they happen. Instead of tapping into it like in turquoise and you're just like speculating, it's a reality. This is your reality. So your reality is trying to figure out the different things that are going on in nature and why, and all the way to the unconscious mind. All right, so I created a new category called C. So this is for confused for dual, for duality, or dualistic thinking or something. So C happens for teal. Because if you're bringing in tarot cards and you're bringing all the things that stage green sometimes got involved in, and stage blue New Age religions got involved in, or even turquoise New Age religions got involved in, then you're going to wonder: is this meaningless? Are they how they're thinking about things meaningless? And the answer is no. It is non-dual because they're tapping into an infinite source. It's just content, so it's the dual aspect of the non-dual experience. So I consider it non-dual. But it's going to be confused for dualism because turquoise creates this foundation of how you should think. It's like very blue-like. I know people say TQ should be corresponding to purple, but TQ is eventually going to look more mature. But right now they're struggling because we're going through a lot of Y2 changes. That makes people depressed. And they don't understand this mythical world from the materialistic orange. And so they create non-duality to counteract the duality the same way blue tried to counteract red mysticism or mythic thinking. And so they destroyed all their idols. And also red also killed people in purple for war reasons, claiming religion was the reason. But blue created laws that you should destroy idols, whereas red would just go ahead and do it. So there's less of a systematic approach to it. And you can argue that the red was still instilled in early blue. Now, let's go to AU and NT&D. So AU is referring to aubergine stage 1. Aubergine stage 1 is still part of the causal, and NT, where is that, is non-thought. So for some reason, I don't know why, I don't know if I'm 100% correct on this point, but NT refers to instinctive. So should we say that the tier restarts by AU because we have we have instinctive over here. And so I don't think that's accurate. I think the NT is coming from the parallel to yellow. You have, so therefore the esteem restarts, and therefore you're less thinking, because you want to actualize, you want to make things happen. So you think less to do that. Now orange it doesn't actualize properly because they get caught up in thought. So that's a little complicated there, why they don't really actualize themselves so easily. So when they go through their yellow portion of their orange, they generally get lost in semantics on how to actualize. They write books on how to actualize instead of just doing it. Okay, let's go down to AU, UT, U2. Oh, then NT we said was also ND, non-dual. Yeah, because they're not thinking, and so they're pretty much non-dual, and they're not even talking about duality. You know, they just want to live, and that's pretty much enlightenment. So this is a stage of great enlightenment. It's really fun. It's really just a great time. You'll have make this last as long as you can. It's just a lot of fun. And then AUUT is when you enter into clear. So there's going to be some baggage, that's the transition of psychological evolution. You're going to realize that all the stuff that you were picking up on in TL, you're going to understand the reason why it happens. You'll get into the exact reasoning for things and why they come up and how they come up. And so that's D or N. So this is, you could be dual or non-dual, but like I said, perspective is everything. Or you could be non-dual and it's being confused for dual. So I think it leans C, but it can easily get confused for dual because you're talking about the unconscious mind, which has remnants of red, and there's also archetypes that may never go away, or if they do go away, it's only for select people who are not necessarily in a higher stage to just think a different way, right? They tell themselves that something does or doesn't exist so much that their mind just forms a different reality. So I wouldn't consider that a higher tier. It's just a different quadrant, a way of looking at the world. So you need to apply Ken Wilber why some people experience higher tiers differently. Okay, so then you got CL, the non-dual super mind, super knowledge. So this will probably get confused for C, right? For duality, since you're going back into other stages, you're understanding other stages, understanding archetypes, being able to oscillate and choose where you want to go and how and why, and just following a certain rhythm that includes this kind of super knowledge, which is also one with the present and being. And so therefore, it's most definitely non-dual, and you can't really say otherwise, unless you don't understand it. Okay, so this is the stage I've been entering into in tidbits. I don't know much about it, except it's probably instinctive. This is Topaz. I wrote some notes, and I don't want to give them away. I can show you my notes, but it's premature. Maybe I can open it up to the side so you don't really see it. Maybe I'll edit it out. But anyways, there's a lot of stuff on Topaz I've been picking up over the last 3 months, and that'll be for another time. So that's the video. So non-duality versus duality in spiral dynamics. And this has been a really important point to talk about since not many people know how to resolve this issue of whether or not duality is involved in the spiral dynamics model, which stages are more dualistic and why. And this gives you a broad and nice picture of how that's working. So I hope you enjoyed and gained from this. Click the like button and subscribe and do whatever you can to support me. I have a GoFundMe page right now, and I hope I can continue doing this and creating better and better content so everyone can have really coherent understandings of the models and based on what they need. So do that. That'll be amazing. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.